Okay. Last day of review. Last day of class, too. All right, so remember, this is the second part of two. So part one and part two will make up the entire test. Certainly won't be as long as, just putting them both together, but it will certainly cover every single thing that is on both review one and review two. So I'm not skipping anything, but, instead of giving you 4 questions, I might just give you 2 questions on the topics. Remember my advice to you, which was when you're preparing for this test, do a little bit each night. Do not wait until Wednesday night. I can guarantee you, for some of you, that if you wait till Wednesday night, you don't have a chance of passing this. Make sure you're doing a little bit. That said, the night before the Latin test, yeah, you should be studying your Latin final. But, you got the entire day, so put a little bit of effort into the math as well, too. All right, day 2, 9 through 12. The only thing we're doing in chapter 12 is the quadratic formula, so it's really just 9, 10, and 11. Same notes as last time. Remember, it will be a multiple choice test. You're going to get an answer. It has to be one of the answers. Now, with exception of rounding, if you get the answer 4 and there's 4 is one of the answers, but 3 is close to it, that is a bad way of choosing the answer. Get to the answer. You have enough time. You can spend, you got enough time to get to the right answer. And if you get the wrong answer, redo the problem. There is no difference between this review and the test other than the aforementioned, fewer questions. Please, please, please do the practice test at the bottom of the Google Forms. Do not just listen to the video and say to yourself, oh, I got this. Do the practice test. Probably not once, but at least twice. Some of you probably need to do it more than 2 times. If you can do the practice test and understand it, I guarantee you'll do fine on the real test. For the ones the questions on the practice test that you get wrong, those are the ones that you need to pay specific attention to, and particular attention. Do those over and over again. Test is in a week. You got plenty of time. If you want any extra practice on a specific topic, email me. I'd be happy to send you an additional worksheet. Okay, so second half, topic number 1. This will be graphing a system of equations. In other words, you're solving 2 linear equations by graphing. Remember the key ideas. Well, 1, unfortunately, you're taking this at home. You're going to need graph paper. Be a virtuous student. Do not do this on your calculator or online. Do this by hand. All right, so once you have your graph paper, graph each line individually. To do that, the same as the previous thing where you're only graphing one line. Graph the y-intercept first and apply the slope. Do it for both equations. Continue with the slope until you find the intersection point. It's been a while since we did these, but we did pretty well on this. The intersection point is the answer. Notice that both of these red lines intersect at 1, 2, and that is your answer. Also, remember you can get no solutions or infinite solutions. Remember, no solutions is when you graph the 2 lines, you find they're parallel. And for those of you that are on your toes, you can tell from the equation itself. Notice, same slope, different y-intercepts. If you notice that from the start, then you can determine that there's no solutions. If it's same slope, same y-intercept, well, it's the same equation. I'll guarantee you right now I'm not going to put a infinite solution ones, but I could put a no solution one. All right, topic 2, same idea. We're solving a system of equations. This time we're going to do it by substitution. Remember doing this? I will tell you, for the ones that say solve by substitution, one of the equations will already be solved for one of the variables, either y or x. In this case, it's already solved for y. You take that value, y equals -8, and you substitute it into the second equation. That second equation there is 6x plus 5y equals -16. So for the value y, I substitute a -8, and then I solve that equation. 5 times -8, add 40, divide by 6. So there is one of my answers, x equals 4. Now, it is a multiple choice test. Look at all the solutions. Notice only one of them has an x value of +4. You don't even have to substitute it back into the second equation to find y. And notice in this case, I don't even have to do that one because it already tells me that y is equal to -8. Let's do one where we have to do that second substitution. Okay, number 7. I said that one of the equations will already be solved for one of the variables. Notice it's already solved for y. You will not have to, I won't be cruel and make you solve for y, because remember we have that third technique, solve by elimination, for those. Okay, so it says y is equal to negative 2x minus 2, so we take the second equation, that second equation there, and where we see the value y, we plug in negative 2x minus 2. A little bit of distributive property, combine like terms, add 16, divide, x equals negative 2. And I'll just say once again, multiple choice, notice, I can't guarantee you this will happen for the test, but notice there's only one answer there that has negative 2 for value x, so you don't even have to do that second substitution for this one. But let's just for the sake of the conversation, let's just do that process. So we take negative 2. I can go to either equation. It does not matter which one. I'm going to choose the first one, and then substitute negative 2 in for x. That's a lot of 2's. Multiply, add, or subtract in this case, and we get 2. So the answer is negative 2, 2. Cool? There was a third technique, and yes, you will have to do it. It's called elimination, solve by elimination. I will give you the more easier forms. Notice, when you stack the two equations, notice one says negative 2x and one says 2x. So if we were to add these two, notice you're going to always do this when they're in standard form. X, y equals constant. Notice when we add these two, the x's eliminate. They go away. 2x minus 2x is 0. The y's stay there. Hey, we like zeros. Divide by negative 13. We still get 0. And yes, it seems that this case, once again, there's only one answer there with a y equal to 0. Don't count on that. Assume that you'll have to throw it into the equation to find the x value. Pick either one. I'll pick the second one there because there's fewer negatives. I let y be 0. Therefore, x equals 6. So 6 comma 0 is the answer. Be careful. Notice the answers there, 0, 6, 6, 0. Easy to make a simple mistake here, even though you might have the right answer, so be careful. Okay, notice these. If we stack them, we have two things that match up. So if we were to add these, we wouldn't get 0, we would get negative 2x. So this is the one where we have to subtract. I'm going to stack them just as they appear, so the first one on top. But the second one, when I subtract, remember when you subtract, you change all the signs. It's like you're multiplying everything through by negative 1. So negative x becomes positive x, positive 6y becomes negative 6y, 3 becomes negative 3. Now when we add, notice the x's go away. Negative 6y plus 5y is negative 1y. Hey, I can do that one. Divide or multiply everything through by negative 1. Y equals negative 1. Yeah, it seems like every single one of these, I'm not sure why the computer did this. Every single one of them, I could find the answer right now. Let's assume that you can't. You have to throw it back in. Pick one of those equations. They're all ugly. It doesn't matter which one. I'll pick the second one. Throw in negative 1 for y. Negative times a negative is a positive. Subtract. Negative 9 comma negative 1. Okay, cool? All right. Note once again, look at 9. There's definitely a 9 and a 1 involved. So just be careful. Also, for those of you thinking outside the box and say, well, I'll just plug in the numbers and see if it makes it true. If you do that technique, you could do that. However, it has to make it true for both equations, not just one. So chances are, you got 4 answers there except for the no solution. Chances are you throw it in, it'll be the last one that you choose. You'll end up doing 8 times more work than if you were simply just to solve it by elimination. All right, moving on. Next topic, solving inequalities. Remember, when you solve an inequality, right? I give you an inequality, ask you to solve it. You have to graph the answer. Okay, the one key thing to remember that when you solve inequalities is that if you ever multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to flip the inequality. First step, we're adding 20. Don't need to flip it for that. The second step, though, look, I'm dividing everything by negative 4. I'd have to flip the inequality. Okay? So it says n is less than 6. Remember, less than or greater than is an open circle. Less than or equal to or greater than or equal to is a closed circle. And these are all open circles. Let's see, open circle on 6 shade left. That's answer B. Okay, and then the ugly one, and those were the ones where we had to solve linear inequalities. Why are they ugly? This is the ones that you had to choose a test point. And once again, the computer program has let me down, and the tick marks all are going by 2's. No idea why. I can't control it. All right. So remember, we graph this exactly the same way we graph a linear equation, y equals mx plus b. So graph the y-intercept first. Let's see, B is 5 here. Which one goes through 5? Positive 5. What would that would be? C and D both go to positive 5. They both have and if we look at both of those, they're the same. So the difference there is the shading. Okay, so let's see. How do we figure out the shading? Remember, we pick a test point. We like 0, 0 as long as the line doesn't go through 0, 0. We can do that. So we choose 0, 0. We throw 0 for x, 0 for y into the inequality and see if it's true or false. Well, 0 is not greater than 5. That's false. So where 0, 0 is not the shaded side, we shade the true side. So the true side would be the one that would make it true. And that would be answer C. So if 0, 0 is the false, then the other side would be the true side. Okay? The ugliest of the ugly are the ones where you have 2 of these to do. 2 of these. Notice the computer program only shows the one quadrant, right? Remember the 2 lines break it up into 4 parts. The one quadrant that makes it true for both. Okay, but this is done the same way. We just have to do it twice. So I won't go over how to graph the 2 lines. We've done that enough. But let's do the test point again. So for the first inequality, y is less than 2x minus 1. We throw in 0, 0. And let's see, 0 less than negative 1. Hey, that's false. So we shade away from 0, 0 for that one. And for the second one, throwing in 0, 0. Notice neither of those lines go through 0, 0. So we can pick 0, 0. For the second one, we get 0 greater than or equal to 3. Hey, that's also false. So for both lines, 0, 0 is not true. One of the key things, since it's a multiple choice, look at the answers. Notice that for my inequalities, 1 is less than, 1 is greater than or equal to. That means I'm going to have 1 dashed line and 1 solid line. Take a look at the answers. I'm not saying that this will always work, but this particular one, if you had really been on the ball, this is the power of multiple choice test, you didn't have to do any math there to figure out that D must be the answer. Why? Because one of them is dashed and one of them is solid. Now, don't assume that will always work. It certainly worked, though, in this particular one. Remember doing compound inequalities, right? Compound inequalities, they came in 2 flavors, ands and ors. All right, so let's do an and first. All right, the and is the one where you have something, inequality, some values, inequality, some value. See number 19 right there? Oh, by the way, I think I made a mistake on the review sheet. I don't think this one matches your 19, so I forgot to put as a multiple choice. So when I redid it, I didn't want to redo this video. So we'll just use this as an example. There's an and and an or on yours. There's an and and an or on this one as well, too. All right, so look at mine. Mine is an and. So remember that step number 1 is to separate it into the 2 inequalities. All you do is cover up the right side. That's your first inequality. Cover up the left side. That's your second inequality. Make sure you understand that, what I meant by that. I just broke the and into 2 inequalities. And then I just solve each one, remembering that if we ever multiply or divide by a negative, we got to flip the inequalities. So let's see. We'll do the left one first. Add 4. Ooh, we got to divide by negative 8, so that means flip the inequality. Second one, add 4. Once again, we got to multiply by or divide by a negative, so flip the inequality. All right, so we need a graph where a is smaller than 2, but bigger than negative 7. And let's see, closed circle on both of these. So smaller than 2, but bigger than negative 7. Clearly, that one is B. There's an and. How about an or? Remember, ors, they're already going to be broken up for you with the word or. Okay? So all we're doing is solving those 2 inequalities right there. Same drill. If we ever multiply or divide by a negative number, flip the inequality. These are pretty straightforward. When we solve, we get that for the first one. Add 9, divide by 8. Get that for the second one. Okay, so let's take a look at this. N, closed circle, n is smaller than negative 7. Which ones are smaller than negative 7? There's only one answer there that even has any circle on a negative 7, right? That's answer D. So once again, the power of a multiple choice. But let's just continue on. So notice it's closed circle, shade to the left, smaller than negative 7. And the second answer, n is greater than open circle, negative 2. Once again, that's answer D. And I will say for this particular one, I can't guarantee you that will be for the test. The only one that was even remotely close to the right answer was D. I mean, none of the other ones even had a negative 7 or a 2, or negative 2, sorry. All right, Some of the last stuff we did was radical expressions. Remember, we did adding and multiplying. We also did dividing, but we won't do dividing on the test. So just add, subtract, and multiply. All right, so for adding and subtracting, the only thing that you're allowed to add are like radicals. Notice, I got the square root of 24 and the square root of 6. You cannot add them together. However, make sure you look inside the radical. There are no perfect squares in 6. 2 and a 3. 2 times 3 or 1 times 6. No perfect squares. But 24 can be written as 4 times 6, right? 4 times 6 is or 4 is a perfect square. Square root of 4 is 2. 2 times negative 2, negative 4. See where I'm getting that negative 4 from? I took the square root of 4, which is 2, and 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Hey, now we have like radicals we can add or subtract. In this case, we're doing a little bit of subtraction. So that what gives us negative 2 root 6. All right. Yeah, let's do a subtraction one. Once again, I mean, you can kind of guarantee that there's going to be a perfect square hidden in here somewhere. So there isn't one in 6, as we saw, but 54 has what? Yeah, 54 has 9 and 6, right? 9 times 6 is 54. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. I put that negative 1 there, right? You don't have to put that negative 1 just to show you. Remember, there's always a coefficient of a 1. In this case, a negative 1. Negative 1 minus 9, negative 10. So negative 10 root 6. For multiplication, though, you don't need like radicals. You simply multiply. So what's underneath the radical, the radicand? You just multiply. 15 times 5 is what? 75. And let's see, what's inside 70? Oh, 25. 25 times 3, square root of 25 is 5. So 5 root 3, that's answer A. Hey, one thing left. Your favorite, my favorite, quadratic formula. All right. Remember, visually, what you're finding is where does the parabola intersect the x-axis? The x-axis is where y equals 0. That's why the equation is set to 0. Okay, so let's solve this using the quadratic formula. Remember, the quadratic formula will solve any quadratic equation as long as there is an answer. Now, notice answer A says no solution. Remember, that was with the discriminant is equal to a negative answer. So be ready for that in case it happens. No, I'm not going to give you specific questions on the discriminant, just this. But you would have to understand that, you take the square root of a negative number, you get 0 solutions, no solutions. All right, so A, B, and C. A is 1, B is negative 4, C is negative 21. No, I will not be mean to you and have an equation where you got to solve and set it equal to 0. I'm just going to give you one just like this, okay? The difficulty comes in just not making an error. This is a pretty long formula, so plug in the numbers. Notice I'd make it kind of small to fit this all in there. There's a lot of negatives going around there, so good luck, Landon. Just be very, 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 very careful. Very careful. Let's see. Negative 4 is a positive 4. Negative 4 quantity squared is 16. Negative 4 times 1 times negative 21 is 84. 2 times 1 is 2. I'm not sure why I didn't do 2 times 1. All right, 16 and 84 is 100. Oh, there I go. Now I did the 2 times 1. Square root of 100 is 10. So let's see, 4 plus or minus 10. So 4 minus 10 is negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. And I'm looking at the answers, I already can see it's C. And then 4 plus 10 is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 14 divided by 2 is 7. So 7, negative 3, answer C. Okay, there you go. That's a whole year or a whole half a year's worth of work, January all the way through May. All right, last words of encouragement. Do not wait until Wednesday night, a few of you. Do not wait until Wednesday night to study for this test. Do a little bit of each day. I know Mariah's studying because she told me today that my video was all messed up, and you can thank Mariah for me fixing it for you. So yeah, do a little bit of each night. Certainly study for your main test the night before. Put 10 to 15 minutes every night into this, and I will guarantee you will do well. And then lastly, if there's any questions, make sure you send me an email while we have time. Send me an email, I don't know, Wednesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Good luck with that, right? There's not enough time for me to give you any help at that point. No, I will not refuse to give you help, but I'm just saying, that's poor planning on your part if you wait till Wednesday night to do studying. So good luck with the test, And I'll see you when you guys check into that following week there when you turn in your stuff and grab whatever stuff you left at school. So see you then. Good luck on your test.